Papa ain't going nowhere, you know what I'm saying? And if you thought the first album was a fluke, hold your head. Cause this winter, man, it's on, dog. It's on like you never thought. The next album is called Life After Death, and we ain't taking no prisoners.
Christopher Wallace was a legend by all means, a lyrical genius, and an innovator in hip-hop. His story is a tragic one, as he was shot and lost his life way before his time should have expired. Better known to the world as Notorious B.I.G., this rapper was taken from us by hate, jealousy, and greed. The Brooklyn native was a victim of a drive-by shooting that took place on March 9th, 1997. But what if this misfortune for the rap god continued even after death? What if his unsolved murder was actually as simple as betrayal, and the case was overlooked because of deception? What if he was just a pawn in the corrupt industry we call hip-hop? Get ready for some shocking evidence and outrageous statements that may just be true answers to all of these questions and more. The rise of Bad Boy. Bad Boy Records is an American record label that was created by Sean Combs, otherwise known as Puff Daddy or P. Diddy. The label was created in 1993 and was based out of New York City. Diddy was a former talent director of Uptown Records and created the label with the vision of making a platform for emerging hip-hop and R&B artists.
Bad Boy Entertainment. I named it Bad Boy because I wanted to go against the grain. Anytime you go against the grain, they consider you like kind of bad. Nothing negative, nothing like hardcore. Just, I didn't want to be regular. I didn't want to just make records. I didn't want to just make money. I wanted to make history.
Before Notorious B.I.G.'s release of Ready to Die in 1994, the company was actually going through troubles and was about to go under. Between financial struggles to keep up with the cost of production and legal battles with Uptown Records, it was likely to have not worked out. When Diddy left Uptown to start his label, the R&B group Jodeci also took the leave, and there were disagreements and lawsuits over the rights to the artists. This took a tremendous toll on the newly formed label. However, things would turn a corner in 1994 with the release of Big's Ready to Die album and Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear. Diddy had turned his misfortunes around and things were looking up. But what if it wasn't enough for him? What if he had constructed a bigger scheme to get rich for life? The murder of Christopher Wallace.
And the murders.
We at Primetime have been reporting on the violence in the world of rap music. This week, that world took another ugly turn when one of the best-selling rap artists was killed in Los Angeles in a hail of gunfire.
The Notorious B.I.G. was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting on March 9, 1997 in Los Angeles, California. This has now become one of the biggest and most infamous unsolved murders the world has ever seen. On the night of his death, Biggie attended the Soul Train Music Awards in Los Angeles. After the event, the crew got into two different white Chevrolet Suburbans, one occupied by B.I.G. and the other Diddy. The shooting was carried out in a similar manner to the murder of Tupac Shakur, who was killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas 6 months earlier in September 1996. Both murders fueled speculation of an East Coast-West Coast hip-hop feud. Although, what if it was just a plot created by an evil genius? It's pretty fitting that this, or both of their murders, could be pinned on the tensions between the East and West. Despite numerous investigations and leads, the case has never been officially solved, but now there are more people coming out to share their opinions of the matter. There have been recent interviews that led to speculation that this was a planned-out assassination from the one and only P. Diddy himself.
Yeah, we know why.
You know what? I got a better question.
Yeah.
How valuable is a Biggie Smalls verse?
Yeah.
Puffy has been making money off of Biggie's name for longer than Biggie was alive.
Valletta Wallace, Biggie's mom. In an interview on The Breakfast Club, Biggie's mother subliminally mentioned she would like to strangle Diddy, and we can only speculate as to what she knows about their relationship. In other interviews, Big's mom exposed Biggie's intense disdain for Diddy, shedding light on their shaky relationship.
I accept it, but there are little avenues, little crevices and corners of his death that I cannot and I will not accept.
According to Ms. Wallace, Biggie harbored a profound resentment towards Diddy, feeling exploited and manipulated by his business practices. In the immediate aftermath of Biggie's passing, there was a surge in interest in sales of his music. His album, Life After Death, released just a few weeks after his death, was a massive commercial success and further solidified his status as a hip-hop legend. The album's success also brought attention and financial gains to Bad Boy Records. Biggie's mom, Valletta, spoke about how she believed Diddy used her son in her book titled Biggie. "My son was part of a high-stakes game and didn't know the rules," she writes, "I'm glad he does not have to witness that the very people that he thought could ride and die with wouldn't think twice about using his mother. I'm glad he doesn't have to know that they wouldn't think twice about exploiting his children, and that Diddy only loved her son after his death. This is probably due to the massive amount of royalties he's receiving to this day from Big Success." Gene Deal.
He said, I'm a businessman. I'm about making money, but something gotta change. I don't give a fuck if Pac gotta die, Big gotta die, or Suge Knight go to jail. Something's gotta change.
Biggie's former bodyguard also came out to reveal how Biggie disliked Diddy so much. He said the late rapper knew Diddy was stealing from him because he always clowned the record label boss. Big couldn't leave at this time because he needed Diddy the same way Diddy needed him. At the time, they were cool as it was just business, but Biggie was robbing the music mogul, as well as Diddy was stealing money from Big. Around this time, Biggie was actually trying to get the publishing rights back for his music and other projects, as he was the writer behind much of Lil' Kim's album and also wrote the entire Junior Mafia album.
Yeah, he was writing for Kim, for C's, for Puffy.
Junior Mafia, you know what I'm saying? He did his 3 albums and everything. He wrote the whole Junior Mafia album.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He did 75% of Kim's album. You understand? But he couldn't take claim for none of the stuff he was doing because somebody owns his publishing.
On the night of the Vibes party, apparently there was a group of people that were looking suspicious in blue tuxedos. The crew was going to be leaving to go to another party, and Gene also commented that Diddy was acting strange that evening. He stated that Diddy was running around frantically and wasn't trying to get things moving as he normally would. The car with Gene and Diddy eventually ran some red lights as instructed by the bodyguard who knew something was off, but Big's car wasn't so lucky. At a light, Biggie's car would stop and did not make it past this point. Gene said they heard the claps of gunfire behind them, and when they returned to the SUV, the worst had happened, and Big had been shot. The last words he heard from Biggie were, "Just do it." This was referring to his buddies getting him to the hospital. Gene also commented that on the night of Notorious B.I.G.'s death, Diddy denied knowing the former bodyguard in front of Big's mother and said he probably didn't tell her because Diddy knew Gene was going to tell her what happened. Detective Greg Caden's investigation. Beginning with the events of March 9th, 1997, the night of the fatal shooting in Los Angeles, Detective Caden meticulously scrutinized witness testimonies and analyzed surveillance footage, delving into the sequence of events leading up to the tragic incident. His primary focus was to identify potential suspects and motives behind the murder. Caden's investigation led him to target a Southside Crip named Keith D, who had significant influence in Compton during the 90s and was incarcerated the same year Biggie died. Employing strategic measures, Caden convinced Keith D to share crucial information. Keith D revealed that he had offered protection to Biggie on the night of his death, but Diddy declined, shedding new lights on the circumstances.
Bad Boy Entertainment had actually hired Crips for security work out on the West Coast. Is that true?
We've never hired Crips or any other gang faction to do security for us.
A groundbreaking breakthrough in Caden's pursuit came when he exposed the alleged involvement of a corrupt officer from the Los Angeles Police Department, David Mack, along with his associate, Amir Muhammad. This revelation hinted at a potential cover-up within law enforcement, fueling suspicion surrounding the rapper's death. Caden relentlessly pursued this lead, exposing the potential collusion between rogue officers and criminal elements. Throughout the investigation, Caden faced numerous challenges, including witness intimidation, uncooperative informants, and the passage of time eroding vital evidence. Unfortunately, even he could not officially solve the murder. Uncle Ron.
I was offered $30,000 to perform a hit on Biggie Smalls. March 1st of 1997, I was approached by Diddy to perform a hit on one of his artists. Finding out that he wanted all the rights to all his catalogs.
Ronald Muhammad shared a close association with the rapper Notorious B.I.G. He's recently taken to social media stating that on March 1, 1997, Diddy offered a sinister deal to eliminate his own artist, Biggie. Uncle Ron refused the deal, and the blame fell on others like Suge Knight and Amir Muhammad, as the tragic events were already set in motion. Due to his alleged involvement in the events leading up to the shooting, Uncle Ron became linked to the investigation into Biggie's death. Various accounts suggest that he was driving the vehicle in which Biggie was riding in the night of the murder. Uncle Ron's role in the case has been a subject of intense controversy and speculation. Some theories propose that he might have possessed knowledge of the planned attack, or possibly played a more direct role in orchestrating it. However, it's crucial to acknowledge that no concrete evidence has been presented to these claims. The investigation into Biggie's death has encountered numerous challenges. While Uncle Ron's potential involvement has raised questions, the precise extent of his role and responsibility, if any, in the events leading to Biggie's murder continues to be a topic of debate among investigators and the public. It's unknown if Uncle Ron is now coming forward to gain clout or is being honest. As he mentioned, his kids are grown and no longer fears what could happen as far as retaliation for his statements. 50 Cent and Jaguar Wright.
Why have you never stood next to nobody? Because you studied the 48 Laws of Power.
Nah, man, that's whack. And he knew exactly what I meant because he'd been standing next to something his entire career.
Right.
He stood next to Biggie, you put hot on him. That's stand next to the fighters he want, right? You stood next to Mace, stood next to Jock. Look, Puffy might be the destination for anybody going nowhere.
He's not wrong. Y'all are fucked.
Nobody survived him.
You all are fucked.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Please, people, help me help you. Who's first?
Following the death of rap legends Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur, OG artists like 50 Cent have grown tired of Diddy's bullshit, leading to public callouts in recent interviews. These interviews quickly went viral, sparking intense discussions among fans, with many speculating that Biggie wasn't the only artist Diddy may have influenced negatively. 50 basically calls Diddy out, saying that he's only gained his success by writing the back of his artists, stating, "Look, Puffy might be the destination for anybody going nowhere."
Uptown Records started with 5 people. Andre Harrell, I'll Be Sure, Heavy D, and Puffy. And Kim was the longest working employee because she was there from the very beginning. She was Andre's personal assistant. Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead. The only 2 left are Puffy and Al almost died.
During the era when Diddy was known as Puffy, Bad Boy Records dominated the music industry with a massive amount of hit songs, extravagant music videos, and explosive performances in the late 90s. However, before Bad Boy Records, Diddy's journey began with Uptown Records, as we mentioned. The record label started with 5 employees: Andre Harrell, Heavy D, Diddy, I'll Be Sure, and Kim Porter, who was the longest employee and Andre's personal assistant and also Diddy's ex-girlfriend. Sadly, most of these people have passed away, leaving only Diddy and I'll Be Sure behind, with Al surviving a close call himself. These incidents have led to suspicions pointing towards Diddy and his alleged involvement in shady business practices. Coincidentally, a few of these people were also in the middle of writing tell-all books about their experiences working at Bad Boy.
Too many coincidences.
Too many.
Fuck you, honeycomb.
Oh. Stamp it.
We gonna get you and your little dog, too.
Recently, in an uncensored podcast interview, Jaguar Wright made controversial claims about Diddy's supposed connection to Notorious B.I.G.'s death, citing close associates as sources of this information. Moreover, Jaguar also stepped forward, highlighting Diddy's apparent motive for wanting Biggie dead, perceiving him as a threat to Diddy's own success and interests in the music industry. Jaguar discussed how Diddy seemingly benefited from Notorious B.I.G.'s death, stating that his financial gains from Biggie's legacy increased after the rapper's untimely passing, and how he's been gaining royalties in the millions all these years later. She also exposed him for some other very humiliating acts towards his artists, and in detail talked about how he made advances on most of them.
I think everybody that knows Sean Carter knows that he will slump anyone in any relationship for $1.
Despite ongoing investigations, the death of Notorious B.I.G. remains an unsolved mystery. With the recent interviews of ex-employees and other rappers, we can't help but wonder if Diddy may have had his hands in the murder. The story of the Notorious B.I.G. continues to intrigue the world. From his legendary contributions to hip-hop and the unsolved circumstances of his death, this is a hard story not to be curious about. As more information emerges, the hip-hop community awaits the truth and justice behind this tragic tale. Let us know what you think about this in the comments, and if you think Diddy could have actually done this to his so-called brother and best friend. We wish the best for Valletta Wallace and the rest of Biggie's families and close friends. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for the best in hip-hop. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed.